What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Premier League update. We've got all the reviews from match week 3 and all the games that went down this weekend. So let's get into it with the first match of the week. It was Man City Arsenal. Man City was just being Man City with this 5-0 win against Arsenal this week, bouncing back the right way after a tough loss to Tottenham in week 1. A good outing from Ferran Torres. I was impressed with him. A couple goals for him up front. Really making the most of solidifying his position, as they didn't get Ronaldo. He went to United. Make sure to check out that video as well. Moving on to Arsenal here. I think it's time to hit the panic button for Arsenal. They haven't scored now. They're bottom of the table in 3 games. This was supposed to be a Super League team, so this is supposed to be the best of the best. They had 19% possession. They had 1 shot attempt. They won 0 corners. They only had 3 crosses, just thoroughly outmatched. This is probably one of the worst performances I've seen from Arsenal before. This is probably the worst anyone's seen Arsenal in recent history right now. It's not good. They have to find a way to score, as frankly this outing was just ridiculous. So I don't really know what to make of this Arsenal team. You have to think they're better than this, but you also have to think they had some tough matches. Chelsea last week, Man City this week. Not saying that they were guaranteed the win, but they got to put up more of a fight. Definitely should have won week 1 against Brentford. So they should at least have 3 points out of this. So the fact that they have 0 out of 9 possible points heading into the international break, it's a tough one to swallow for Arsenal fans. Certainly you have to think brighter days are ahead of them, but this Arsenal team is unpredictable, so we'll see. So again, 5-0 loss for Arsenal at Manchester. Tough loss to take. Moving on now, we'll move to Villa and Brentford. Villa responded really quickly after going down early with a goal 7 minutes in. They respond with a goal by Emi Buendia 13 minutes in. It's good to get him off and running now, getting his first goal in the Premier League. They kept consistent offensive pressure. They provided a surplus of crosses there. Overall, a good offensive performance from Villa. Brentford actually outshot and outpossessed Villa as well. They had a solid game. Ivan Toney is on the board. So that's what I've said the past couple weeks. It's time for Ivan Toney to start scoring, getting into his goal-scoring form now. So I think that's good things to come for Brentford, good things to come for Ivan Toney. The fact that this team hasn't been up it was around 70 years, was the last time they were up in top flight football in England. The fact that they got 5 out of a possible 9 points when they were considered, I thought that they were in relegation troubles this year when I made my Premier League predictions. But 5 out of a possible 9 points, that's a good start for them. I see good things happening for Brentford. Brighton and Everton. Brighton loses at home 2-0 to Everton. They outpossessed Everton, but it didn't matter. They had 2 less shots on target than Everton did. And that's what did it in for them. When you lose 2-0 and you had 2 less shots, there's your answer right there. Brighton didn't play a bad game. Brighton has kind of outperformed their expectations, or at least the expectations I had for them. But yeah, this is going to be a tough loss for them. In terms of Everton, Demarai Gray, he's panned out thus far. There was a lot of doubt of whether he was the right guy to bring in, whether he was really built for the Premier League. He didn't have the greatest of stay at Leicester, but he's proving them wrong. He's got a couple goals now. And overall, he's just performed well in the starting lineup for Everton this year. And also proving the doubters wrong is their new manager, Rafa Benitez. Everton remains undefeated, 7 points out of a possible 9. This is really a start that a lot of people thought, that some people thought that Everton wasn't capable of. I didn't think that they would get 7 of 9 points, but they do start hot. This isn't a new development here. So we'll see how Everton responds. We'll see if Benitez is the guy. Moving on to Newcastle and Southampton, a 2-2 draw there. Newcastle, they had low possession. They were really outplayed offensively, but they did have the lead heading late into injury time in the second half. And they blew it off a penalty kick there. They got to be a little more disciplined late in the game, not giving up fouls in the box like that. Southampton had a huge shooting day. 22 attempts, only 6 on target, but when you're putting 22 attempts on net, good things are bound to happen. They were outpossessed or they they weren't outpossessed. Sorry, they outpossessed Newcastle. They outcrossed them. They outshot them. These are good wins to get against teams at their level or below, teams that are going to be with them fighting for relegation. Southampton's done a good job through the first 3 games here, despite the selling spree that they had in this transfer window. Now moving on to Norwich and Leicester. Norwich loses at home 2-1 to Leicester. Norwich actually played a fairly even game, especially considering that they were playing against a Big 7 squad. So obviously you would have liked to salvage a point out of that, but they're finally on the score sheet. So I guess that's something. They couldn't find a way to score against Liverpool or City. They found a way to get one off a Thomas Pukki penalty kick. So we'll see what's to come of Norwich. I think it's going to be a tough year for them. And like I've been saying week in and week out in terms of Leicester, when Vardy scores, they usually win. And Vardy played well. He scored real early. They came out strong within the first 10 minutes. So Leicester overall, a good performance for them, a good win, really bouncing back after a difficult loss last week to West Ham. Speaking of West Ham, they're next on the docket here. They drew 2-2 to Crystal Palace in a little bit of a surprise draw, considering that West Ham was top of the table heading into this week. Michael Antonio, though, he keeps scoring, scored another one after 2 last week. But you have to feel that they missed out on some points here. A lot of uncertainty with Crystal Palace. They're a team that, in my opinion, is going to be in that relegation conversation when we get midway to late in the season. So you got to feel that they missed out at some points at home here. This was a good draw for Crystal Palace. Also with the fact that they got on the board like Norwich in the last game we talked about. They hadn't scored their first 2 games, so the fact that they got on the board, a good day for Gallagher. He potted 2, and they held their own against West Ham. They had held the majority of the possession this game. So overall, just a really solid point for Patrick Vieira and the boys. Moving on to Liverpool and Chelsea, which was probably considered the game of the week. 2 teams that are going to be fighting at the top of the table, 2 teams considered in that Big 4 conversation. Chelsea really they have a well-deserved point against one of their Big 4 squads there. They only had 10 men for the entirety of the second half. So the fact that they were able to defend the way they did in the second half, stave off a ton of Liverpool possession, a ton of Liverpool shots, was really impressive. I was impressed with Kai Havertz, as I felt the first 3 games I've been impressed with him. He's really finding his place in a lineup where I feel he didn't necessarily have a set place in years prior. Overall, he potted their only goal, so a good outing for Kai Havertz to continue his stretch of good games here. And like Chelsea deserved this point, Liverpool, it seems like they missed out on an opportunity. You kind of felt that they were going to score another one in the second half to really make the most of that Reece James red card late in the first half. And they didn't. They missed out. It's a tough draw to take at home. You really wanted those 3 points to stay 1 up on Chelsea, continue to be 1 up on City. So it's really tough to take a draw like that at home, but it's really on to the next one for Jurgen Klopp and the Reds. Moving on to Burnley and Leeds here. Burnley, I was impressed with them this game. They got a point on the board there. They defended Turf Moor pretty well to salvage something from a Leeds team that have high expectations this year. Overall, good shot total there. So Sean Dyche and the Clarets, it was a good game for them at home. But like we've said in weeks past, Leeds continues to play with intensity from start to finish. That's how Marco Bielsa manages his team. They got that late winner from Patrick Bamford, who I said last week really needs to start putting goals, really needs to start providing goals after that big contract extension he got. I think they need to start switching some shot attempts and focusing on getting it on target more because, again, Leeds was probably expecting to get more than just a point out of this match here. You have to think that Leeds is better than just 2 points out of a possible 9 points in their first 3 weeks there. hopefully better things to come for Leeds. Moving on to Tottenham and Watford. Tottenham fans can rejoice in the fact that Harry Kane is back in the starting lineup. They can rejoice in the fact that Son keeps rolling up front there. A lot to get excited about with Tottenham strikers right now. And this was the first game I felt that Tottenham truly deserved the 3 points that they got. The last 2 wins, a little unconvincing. I felt that they could have been better. But again, 3 points are 3 points. And they have the only remaining perfect record left in the Premier League. They sit alone at the top of the table with 9 points out of a possible 9. So good on Nuno Espirito and the boys right now. And we'll see if they can keep rolling at the top there and keep this winning streak alive. In terms of Watford, I thought it was a good showing for them against a Big 7 team on the road. It's not easy to play at Tottenham's grounds. So overall, to only lose 1-0, I think Watford can take a lot away from this. The only thing they can't take away are points, though. So luckily they got that win. So they have 3 out of a possible 9. Not a bad showing for a team that I feel is in danger of relegation this year. And now moving on to the final game of the weekend, it was Wolves and Man United. Man United was obviously running off a high of getting Cristiano Ronaldo back. And it showed. They were able to pull out a win. Tough win. It's never easy to play at Wolves' grounds. But Mason Greenwood, he's making it tough to figure out how that's all going to work with when Ronaldo comes in and presumably takes a lot of the time at that striker role. But he's making a case to keep that same workload despite Ronaldo's entrance here. It was an all-around good win, and again, it's tough to win at Wolves' grounds, so a good win for them. I thought Wolves was pretty solid offensively. I thought they were solid offensively last week in their loss to Tottenham, and I thought they were solid this week to Man United. They played well against them, but again, like I said with Watford, they couldn't come out with any points. So despite their solid offensive showings 2 weeks in a row, they have nothing to show for it. So Wolves is in a little danger here. 1 point out of a possible 9. Oh, sorry. No points out of a possible 9. So 3 straight losses to start the year. They probably don't deserve to lose the first 3 games, but that's just how the cookie crumbled for them this week. And overall, that's going to do it this week because there's no games this weekend with the international break. I will get you the games that I'm highlighting for match week 4 in our next Premier League update, as well as the updated standings. So stay tuned for that next Thursday. And that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, give it a like down below. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our other uploads. Like I said, we've got Premier League updates every Thursday, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe. Comment down below what your thoughts on match week 3 were, which winners you liked, who you thought disappointed. And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.